So I recently finished the Kamogawa Food Detectives and I adored it. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. I thought it was superb, and this has ignited a love for Japanese fiction slash translated Asian fiction. And so I did pick up a few other books from London when I was there of exactly that. I had a couple in my collection already, in which was Days at the Morisaki Bookstore and Convenience Store Woman. So these two were already on my shelves and I have been so eager to get to them. And then I also picked up Butter, which is quite popular right now. I feel as though all of these have kind of had their time in the limelight, but I haven't ever got a chance to read them, and so I feel as though this is the perfect time to do so. While I'm just loving just the coziness and comfort that this brought me, and yeah, the kind of atmosphere that it creates. Just adoring translated fiction at the moment in all sense of the word. So if you have any recommendations, please as ever leave it down below. So yes, we're going to read these in this adventure today. Grab yourself your most warming hot drink, a cozy blanket, and let's get to it. Got new glasses and I'm still getting used to how I look with them. Also, my prescription changed, so I'm still getting used to how I feel and see with them. But I spotted a few new, unrelated to my glasses, Japanese books on my shelf already, so I thought I'd add them to the TBR. So my official TBR includes Convenience Store Woman, then we have Days at the Morisaki Bookshop, we have The Bookshop Woman, and then we have Butter. So I think I'm going to start with Convenience Store Woman, then move on to Days at the Morisaki Bookshop, then go to Bookshop Woman, and then Butter. I think that's my kind of interest in terms of how I'm going to proceed with these books, but obviously I'll update you along the way. So let's get to beginning this wonderful, exciting adventure reading Convenience Store Woman together. So I finished Convenience Store Woman and I rated it in my good tier. The themes which I noted down included translated Japanese fiction, of course, short and a quick read, social commentary and social norms, comfort in life and mundanity, and questioning normal. I found this book to be very intriguing and the characters quite diverse in the way that they were thinking and feeling, and it was a lot of commentary on society and normality and what that actually means, but also just our character living their life. And it was quite mundane in the sense of what was going on and what was being discussed, but it just felt so provocative and so interesting because it was just packed full of other elements in there as well. And it is so tiny. I think it was like 163 pages, so I whizzed past it. It was very engaging, although it felt quite mundane, I would say. And yeah, I highly recommend it. Finished Days at the Morisaki Bookshop and I think it's one of my favourite books of all time now. I rated it in my great tier and thought it was such a good read. I had themes of obviously a bookstore, and the whole town felt similar to ᴍᴘᴇᴱ in Wales. I don't know if you've ever been, but it's just basically this place full of different bookshops and they kind of have different themes to them and different themed bookshop. So there's like a murder mystery one, there's like a general new fiction one from what I remember. And yeah, I loved that town when I went to it, and this was just very nostalgic of that. I feel like for me personally, it had familial relationships in here and finding yourself and just mundanity in life, and I'm just adoring these slice of life Japanese literature translated books. I think this was so good, and I wanted it to continue for so much longer. I immediately added the second one to my wish list, and I think it comes out very soon, so I'm so excited for it. Yeah, I just thought it was so superb. It had great themes, and yeah, I really highly recommend it, and it's definitely something which I want to read more of and explore more of. So yeah, that was my review of the Days in the Morisaki bookshop. Now I'm going to proceed to the Bookshop Woman. Then we have Butter, and yeah, sadly that is the end of my translated Japanese or Asian fiction books, and I'm having the best time so far. So I will check in with you once I've read more of the Bookshop Woman. I started this morning. I'm only about 20 pages through, and yeah, I am again enjoying it so far. Very much slice of life, very much interaction and kind of commentary on just meeting different humans and how diverse and different we all are. And yeah, I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it, and I'll update you when I have more of things to update on. I just wanted to do a little check-in because I finished The Bookshop Woman. I didn't film much while reading it because I was just so immersed in it. I thought it was such a good book, and it just made me love book recommendations and recommending books so much more and have a passion for that. I loved at the ending that it was just filled with actual book recommendations from the author, from the translator, and I didn't realize, but this book is obviously translated from Japanese, but the original author of it is actually about their life and it's about their story, so it's kind of autobiographical, but it just focuses on this one thing of this bookseller igniting their passion for recommending books and doing everything in their power to do that. And I thought it was so great. You got to see a bit of slice of life, as with Japanese literature, you tend to have that kind of mundanity of life and slice of life and have these different social commentaries and meet all of these different people, and I just absolutely loved it. And I think I'm just falling in love with Japanese literature. Every single thing that I am reading so far, I am loving it. I don't know if it's the culture that's surrounding it, the way it's written, or the subject matter specifically, but it's just so fun and it's so short, so easy to get through. So this had themes of obviously book
book recommendations, falling in love with books, but kind of meeting strangers and learning about them. Communication was a theme in here as well, and sort of other people influencing your life and having this kind of no trajectory to begin with, and then figuring out your life as you go, and you kind of being the master of your story, I suppose. And yeah, I recommend this one because it was so good. I definitely don't think it's one for everyone. It's not complex in its nature, so don't think you're coming into a very complex novel. Very simple, very light-hearted, with some themes as an undercurrent that I just mentioned. And yeah, I think it's definitely one that I'm going to return to, just because I want to read so many of these books. And after I finished it, I was actually sat in bed going through some of the different books and adding them to my wish list. There are a few that haven't been translated from Japanese yet that are in the recommendation section, but I'm gonna keep an eye on those because some of those sound really interesting to me. So yes, that is Bookshop Woman. And then immediately after that, I started reading Butter. So I am now 50 pages through, and again, it's just this intrigue factor of food being such a focus in this book, and it has been either books or food in the focus of these books that I've been reading recently that have been translated from Japanese, and I'm just adoring it. I'm just finding the culture and the different way in which people are viewed, in the different way that people present themselves in the Japanese culture, so intriguing and so investing in just how our characters go about their life. I find it just so different to how I operate and how I think, and I think that's probably why I'm just so invested in this, and I'm finding the mundanity of it just so intriguing. Yeah, I just have such appreciation for it. And yeah, so 50 pages through, so not that far through. Has a very high focus on food in here, and that kind of thing of our main character is feeling lost in life at the moment, and she kind of gets like an obsession with this woman who isn't the typical like idolized female. She's a bit overweight, she loves food, she's a bit older, but men have been falling in love with her and giving her money, and then they end up being killed. So it's kind of this story on exploring this, and our main character is a journalist, so she's kind of going through this story, but the only way that the person who is on trial for murder will speak to our main character is by talking about food. And so yeah, there's just this infatuation with butter at the moment. I don't really know much more than that, and I'm just really intrigued to see how it progresses and what goes on, whether it does go any deeper or whether it kind of just stays surface level. And yeah, just loving it so far, so I'll keep you updated when I progress further through it. Finished Butter, and I'm rating it in my mediocre category / tier. This was so much more complicated, dense, and so many different layers, and much more layered than I thought it was going to be. I wrote down the themes of obsession, femininity, gender roles, food and flavors and descriptions around that, relationships with others, and this had so many mouth-watering food elements in it, and you feel as though you're kind of going on this journey with this person, just being enlightened about relationships, about being enlightened about food and tastes and flavors and what that means, and obsession, and finding themselves and discovering identity and what that means within society and Japanese culture. And I feel as though this was just so much more in depth and thorough than I thought it was going to be. It was a long book and in part really hard to read. I found it was sometimes a slog to get through, but I feel as though it packed so much into it. I'm kind of left a bit
bewildered. It got me absolutely obsessed with butter. I went shopping today and I just had to pick up some really nice butter to just have, and I made some cakes, some banana cakes. Anyway, besides the point, yeah, I think that this is a really good read, and yeah, I think I would recommend it just purely for those themes that this packed into it, and obviously having Japanese culture woven in there as well. But just be mindful that it is quite a dense read and it is sometimes a slog to get through, at least for me personally. So yes, this one is now done. So I have read my TBR for this video and this adventure. I have a few others left on my shelves, I think, but I'm kind of waning a little bit at this point. I think I'm needing to read something a bit light-hearted, a bit fun, maybe just pick up a romance as a palate cleanser almost, because I find the issue, or not the issue, but my personal problem with reading translated fiction is it does take a lot more mental work to figure out the themes, and a lot of these themes are quite often a lot heavier because they have hidden layers and meanings behind them, and you're kind of having to translate the culture for yourself and the meaning that the words are saying on the page, because we see it's been translated into English, but then there are different themes in there as well, and yeah, you're just kind of having to take like a bigger, deeper meaning into it, I suppose, or at least that's how I like to read anyway. So yeah, that's besides the point. I just wanted to thank you ever so much for coming on this adventure with me today, and I hope that wherever you are and whatever you're doing, you have a wonderful day or night. Oh, if you also have any Japanese translated fiction or any Asian translated fiction or just translated fiction in general, I'd be really, really keen to hear any of your recommendations. So thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!